All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your patience. We have a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Cape May. We are here in the Cape May City Hall Auditorium. Today is Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. The time is now 12 past 3 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Before we do that, we have to close out the
I'm
special
sorry.
meeting. I apologize. Because we are, I believe, adding something to the regular meeting
Okay.
agenda.
I apologize. The reason for our delay was we're coming out of closed session, which we need to close out. We are adding one additional item to the agenda. Is that correct, Mr. Solicitor?
Yes, council had two topics in closed session, only one of which anticipating formal action, which will be the collective bargaining negotiations, resolution, and agreement.
Do we need a motion now to add that to the agenda?
No, you can do
Okay.
that during the regular session.
We'll add that during the regular meeting.
Having said that, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, correct?
Make a motion to close.
Do I have a motion to close?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council, posted on the city website and Cape May City Hall bulletin board. Notice is hereby provided that City Council meetings are audio recorded and video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Councilmember Baldwin is absent. Councilmember Bodnar?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Here.
Councilmember Meyer?
Here.
Mayor Mullock?
Here.
City Solicitor Gillen Schwartz?
Here.
City Manager Dietrich?
Here.
Deputy Manager Riggs?
Here.
And Deputy Clerk Turner?
Here.
And we have one addition this evening. It's 24007-2025, a resolution approving a memorandum of agreement between the City of Cape May and Communications Workers of America, Local 1036 White Collar. Motion to add to the regular agenda?
Do I have a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade?
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar?
Yes.
Mayor Mullock?
Yes.
Any other additions or deletions, Council?
Anything else, Council? No? Okay.
Moving on to Employee of the Month.
City Manager, if you want to take it away.
So this month, we're proud to present Xavier Moran. He's a lieutenant with the Cape May Beach Patrol. He's one of our long-standing, hardworking beach patrol people out there. Always takes the initiative to create measures that maintain excellence along his peers and subordinates. And he really has a passion for being out there on the beach. I think if you've ever had interactions with Xavier out there on the beach, you really see it. And he's really a mentor for all of our younger lifeguards, and having one of our largest rookie years this year, he's really shining through and making sure that our younger guards learn what they need to know. So just want to congratulate Xavier on being our employee of the month this year. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Xavier. You do get a parking spot with that. If you put that in the windshield, you can anywhere on the beach you can use. Yeah. Thank you, Xavier. And just to add to what Paul just said, I've seen your leadership in action, including last night when Cape May won the Super Athlon with Zeb. Congratulations. But truly, you do such a wonderful job and such a great leader for our community, and especially with the junior guards that are there, one of which is my son, and they have a really good person to look up to in you, so thank you very much. Yeah, thank you, Xavier. Yeah. And just quickly, housekeeping, Councilwoman Lorraine Baldwin is not feeling well today. She does not miss very many meetings, but we hope she feels better. And with that, we have a presentation on the USS Jacob Jones, our fearless committee here, if you want to come on up. John, Miles, thank you very much for being here. If you want to introduce yourselves and take it away.
And please just make sure to move that nice and close to your mouth.
Let me check the sound. Is that fine?
Really close, really close.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Mayor Mullock. Thank you, members of the council. And I want to thank you not only for allowing us to have this opportunity this afternoon to present our latest plans and progress, but also to thank you for the support that you've been giving us since we began this initiative. We're very grateful. A couple of points before we turn the program over to my colleague, John. First of all, this is the third meeting before you. The first was actually 3 months ago today, coincidentally maybe.
The second one.
But whatever, whatever the case, that was about the Howard Street site. The Howard Street site, for everybody's understanding, was mainly discounted after considerable consideration by us internally. We didn't feel that it met the criteria that are going to be highlighted during today's meeting. The second site, the Cove site, that was discounted promptly after we received very helpful feedback from various folks who attended the public forums that followed the presentation of that site. So today is the third, and that site will be explained in depth by John in a few moments. But I also, before I introduce John, I want to just tell you that there's a key team member, a valued team member, a Navy veteran, who's in the audience. I'm just going to introduce him. I don't think he has any plans to speak, but if he wishes, he may. His name is George Shue, and he served with great honor with the United States Navy for many years and attained the rank of captain. And I think, as most of you know, or many of you know, that's a pretty high rank in the United States Navy. So we're very pleased that George is with us. We've been working on this project for a year, an entire year. We just celebrated our anniversary last week. It was not a very auspicious celebration, but we nonetheless commemorated it, which is probably a better word. And we made a lot of progress. Today you're going to get an overview of the progress we made. I want to tell you that the overview of the progress is going to be condensed so that most of the time today will be devoted to discussing the site and the design. If anybody would like to know more about the progress, meaning you and the assembled audience or people beyond those who are here today, they should feel free to contact us or to drop us a note on our website, which is noted on that first slide, jacobjonesmemorial.org. Now, I just want to say before I introduce John, I keep teeing him up, that we have been, meaning our team, has been committed to a democratic process since day one, meaning a year ago. And we've been committed to transparency. We've been abundantly open to being transparent with this community, Cape May, and we intend to be going forward. And now I'd like to introduce John, who will talk with you about the site. He will talk to you about the design. John is a valued member of this team and a very valued member of this community who's currently serving. This is a coincidence because this wasn't the case when I asked him to join our team. but John is currently serving as the chair of HBC for Cape May, a job that's very time-consuming, very valuable, and he's already showing great effectiveness, great impact in that position. So John, thank you all again, and John, it's finally your turn.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Super happy to be here, and just want to open by saying there must be something in the air, because 2 weeks ago, Slack Tide Brewery put out Jacob Jones IPA. It's a little strong, 8.7% alcohol, so anyway. Okay, so we've made 2 presentations to you before, and we've also had 3 public fora about this. And in those meetings, we've done a rather comprehensive presentation of the context, history, reason behind this monument. So I'm really going to condense that tonight or this afternoon and make it as short as possible. So on December 11th, 3 days after Pearl Harbor, Germany declared war on the United States. Well, roughly 9 weeks later, on February 28th, the USS Jacob Jones, ship number 130, was patrolling off the coast of Cape May, and it was sunk by a U-boat right after dawn. It was hit by 2 torpedoes, one sheared off the bow, one sheared off the stern. The midships floated for about 45 minutes, and there were a number of survivors. However, the depth charges that sunk from the torpedo hit blew up and pretty much killed everybody except for 12 survivors. Only 11 of them made it back. So 131 officers and crew perished. 11 survivors were taken to what is now the Coast Guard base, but at that time in 1942 was the Naval Air Station. So this was national news. We have copies of dozens of headlines on front pages of newspapers from around the country, mainly because it exhibited how vulnerable the East Coast was to U-boat attacks. And furthermore, it actually led to some technological advancements, particularly with regard to sonar and radar technology development, and in addition, increased the Homeland Security impact not long after this. Of course, the canal was built to eliminate the need for ships, both naval and merchant, to travel around the Cape of Cape May and thereby have safe passage from the Delaware Bay into the Atlantic Ocean. So this will be the first monument of its kind. There are currently no monuments to any of the naval vessels sunk in the Battle of the Atlantic, other than a small plaque up in Maine. However, there is a large memorial to the entire Battle of the Atlantic up in Battery Park City in Manhattan. So this will be the first of its kind, and it really is intended to commemorate this particular incident, but also, in turn, in a larger sense, all of the boats sunk during the Battle of the Atlantic by U-boats. So that condensed about a half-hour presentation into 5 minutes. What I would like to talk about, though, is over the past year, the extensive amount of research that's gone into this project, half of which is contained in this folder, and much of which you guys have already seen. And the first thing that we did was we developed a project purpose statement, which I'll read in a moment. And then we expanded the team to include a bunch of other folks, including representatives from the city and a bunch of folks from the U.S. Navy, including folks involved with the Naval Archives, and one of the professor emerituses currently at the U.S. Naval Academy. And although that says assessment of 4 different sites and design iterations to date, this is actually site number 8. So prior to coming to present the Howard Street site, we had looked at 2 before that. And so of the 8, 3 of them were not in the city of Cape May. So there's also been intensive research around the descendants of the survivors. There are no survivors left of the survivors, and none of them are alive. However, we've been able to make contact with several of their descendants, most notably the grandson of Captain Hugh Black, who was the captain of the ship, who, interestingly, Miles has developed a pretty good relationship with him recently. I think it was, last summer?
It was actually the day before Memorial,
before
Memorial Day this year.
Day before Memorial Day, Captain Hugh Black brought the ashes of his grandfather, who had died, and sailed out to the sinking site just off the coast of Cape May and emptied his father's ashes at the site where there are currently 130 bodies still there from the sinking of the ship. And we've also engaged in a whole bunch of solicitations and quite a bit of support from the U.S. Navy and a few major foundations. So I normally despise reading slides, but this one I do want to read because We spent about 2 months with our expanded committee aligning around what the real purpose of this project is, and it's divided into 3 components. The first is functionally, what is it intended to do? Second is, what is the spirit and energy field we're trying to generate, or the being state we're trying to generate? Number 3, why? What is really the will behind doing this? So the purpose of this project is to co-create and curate the design, construction, ceremonial use, and national awareness of an impressive, accessible, and poignant public monument for the fallen of the USS Jacob Jones that connects us to and amplifies Cape May's role in American history in a way that moves all participants to deeply value with humility, gratitude, and reverence the loss of these particular lives here, so that engaging this memorial serves to help all of us reflect upon, appreciate, and be inspired by how the loss of the Jacob Jones symbolizes all conflicts and forgotten heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice to defend America's fragile freedom. Every day as we've been working on this, as I would begin to do some design work, I would read this to get myself in the right mental state to do the work and be able to access some sort of other energy. Okay, so after we presented the 4th site, which was the Cove site, to you folks, we conducted 3 public fora sessions, 2 in person, 1 on Zoom, and had lots of discussions about it. After the first of those meetings, it became very clear to us that the Cove site was not the correct site, and I think that was a right move. If anybody saw the Cove site 2 weeks ago, that entire plaza was entirely filled with bikes. It looked like the Amsterdam train station. So that helped us formulate with the second 2 of those, or the second and third of those fora, with the public and participants, those who participated, what were really the criteria for a desirable and appropriate site. So first and foremost, within the city of Cape May. Second, a reverent, quiet site that's a fitting tribute to these fallen. Third, being able to actually see the beach and the ocean, which I'll elaborate on in a moment, with direct line of sight to the sinking site of the Jacob Jones, which is about 43 degrees east of due south, solar south, and needs to be accessible and conducive to an educational experience, and absolutely harmonize with its context, be designed for its place as both public art and harmonizing with nature. So this is the last scheme you saw. This is what we previously presented, both other times that we presented and in all the public fora, we presented how we got to here. That's another half an hour presentation, so I'm not going to go into that. So I'd rather shift the rest of this presentation into focusing on what we're calling the East End Promenade Terminus site. So this is a drawing from the Army Corps of Engineers that locates the site. There you can see where the Poverty Beach Bridge is along Wilmington Avenue, just north, about 300 feet of Beach Avenue. The site itself is actually owned by the city, as depicted by this blue, somewhat trapezoid shown on the right side of this slide. These are the existing conditions. You can see that the hatched bar that's running horizontally dead ends into just past the edge of Wilmington Avenue. That is actually the bulkhead, which is the wooden bulkhead. There is no promenade there. There's no walkway. If we then look at what the Army Corps' project will do for the promenade improvement, you can see that what ends up happening is that the promenade itself will be raised. It varies in height above the street, anywhere from 3 to 6 feet, with a landscaped area sloping up at 3-to-1 slope from the street, from the bulkhead out along the street, which is where the little line with the triangles are. Then an 18-foot wide promenade, and then a 2-foot wide seawall. So you can note that that seawall, as it's running towards the east, as it gets to the terminus at Wilmington Avenue, turns north, and the end of the Army Corps project ends 100 feet, where you can see the bulkhead making that sort of inverted L shape. That's where the Army Corps project stops. An indication of what that looks like in a rendering from the Army Corps looks like this. So the end of the Army Corps project, you can see the wooden bulkhead, the sloped landscaping, and the height of the promenade, which is about 7 feet at that point above street elevation. It's then left to the city to figure out pretty much how to ramp back down to the elevation of the sidewalk as it proceeds further north, roughly 200 feet, to Poverty Beach. One of the problems here, however, is that from that terminus at the end of Wilmington up to Poverty Beach is roughly about 300 feet, and there's another 800 feet along Beach Avenue where there's no means by which to gain access vertically to that 3 to, in this case, 7 feet difference in elevation from the street level up to the promenade. So this is just an image of the site and what it currently looks like. There is, of course, no sidewalk there. There's no promenade. There's no real landscaping. These are sort of the remnants of what was intended to be originally a rock seawall. This is a little bit closer to, there's my notebook and my, and my tape measure. This is where the current end of the walkway is at the entrance to the Poverty Beach Bridge. Notice that the sidewalk ends right there as well, no place to park bikes or anything like that. And this is, again, looking back from the Poverty Beach Bridge entrance back south to the corner of Wilmington and Beach. I'd like you to notice one thing. That pole, that utility pole that is right near the center of the drawing, is about 35 feet tall. That will come into play later. So this is what we're proposing. You can see that where that yellow horizontal line is at the end of the Army Corps project, what we're proposing is, since there's no vertical access to the promenade over that roughly 1,000 feet, building a ramp, handicap ramp, that will get us up 5 feet from, let me see if I can do this. I think it's here. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, so the highlighter won't work. A ramp that takes us up 5 feet to the end of the promenade, being at 18 feet wide, that would terminate in this slightly rotated 24-foot by 24-foot, I'll call it a plaza, in the middle of which would be a flagpole so that on specific holidays such as Memorial Day, 4th of July, February 28th, to commemorate the sinking, there could be small celebrations here. But we're also creating a rather, I'd say, formal 10-foot wide stairway that would lead up 5 feet between two concrete planters. You can see the little circles there that show trees, that will lead to a wooden walkway out to a roughly 40-foot diameter wooden platform upon which the metal frame, we'll call it the art sculpture, which emulates the framing of the station points and deck levels of the Jacob Jones, which, by the way, when I show you the design, are derived directly from the blueprints that we were able to get of the Wicks-class destroyer, which is what the Jacob Jones was, thanks to George Shue and his access to the Navy. So the design of the frame pieces of this are exact replicas of the exact forms of those structural pieces of the ship that was sunk. From that plaza, going due north, the additional 180 feet then would be an 8-foot wide walkway to connect that plaza up to the end of the sidewalk I showed you in the photograph before, just south of the Poverty Beach Bridge entrance. And then from that 8-foot wide walkway to the west, you can see where there are contour lines that are drawn. That also would be a sloped landscape area, not at all unlike what is being proposed for the rest of the promenade improvement where the seawall is. A 4-foot sidewalk along the street and parking spaces, which you might be able to augment perhaps by making those 45-degree parking spaces instead. So to blow up, well, before we do that, the way one arrives here then is pretty much bikers and walkers along the promenade. This creates, in essence, a terminus, an endpoint, not unlike the endpoint of the plaza at the Cove and the Sunset Pavilion, at this end of the promenade where there currently isn't one. The long walkway that's 80 feet, which in this drawing is indicated as a diagonal running up and to the right, is a 6-foot wide walkway, not at all unlike the ramp that's further north to Poverty Beach, which takes us up to a little 12 by 12 viewing platform, the elevation of which is at 15.5 feet. We need to be at least 15 because the base floodline elevation is at 11 feet. We need 2 feet freeboard underneath structure by New Jersey law, and then there's 2 feet of structure with LVL beams and 10-inch joists to support the wooden platform. So the sequence of this would be when you arrive coming down Beach Avenue, you would barely see an image of this coming past the condominium building on the left as you're approaching Wilmington. You'll see, and I'll show you in a minute, I made a little sketch of what that might look like sticking up out of the vegetation, the frame of the ship, well, sculpture, I should say. But that disappears when you arrive at the sidewalk just at the base of the steps. And there's actually a little bit of a spatial compression there. As you arrive up those steps, you get the full view of it for the first time. Well, not full, because there's still some vegetation that will be in the way when you get up to the plaza, and then taking the little journey along the walkway to the viewing platform. When you get to that 12 by 12 viewing platform, which is attached to the south end of the circle of the platform, that's when you would turn left and see what I'm about to show you in elevation. Notice that the elevation, the highest elevation nearby, is at 15. Along that viewing line, which is roughly that 45 degrees canting down to the right, and the reason for that I'll show you in a moment. It means that the highest elevation is 14 feet to the dunes. You're at 15 and a half. If you add eye height to that, you're now at roughly 20 to 20 and a half feet, depending on how high you are, which means that you would actually be able to see over the vegetation from eye height out to the sinking site of the Jacob Jones and the ocean and the beach off in the distance. So if we blow up that floor plan, the point I would like to make here is that the actual frame that you're seeing, that sort of bullet shape, is actually the shape of the station point, which would be station point number 8 from the blueprints of the Jacob Jones, which formulates the actual framing of the hull of the ship. And of course, as that gets higher, it gets narrower, and as it proceeds north to the point at the very tip, it also gets narrower because that ends up forming the keel of the ship, which I'll show you in a moment. The other thing to notice here is that the cutouts in the wooden platform, where you can see where it's dotted, are indicating the sand. So what it means is the actual metal structure, which will be built out of aluminum, very similar to the aluminum boats built by the boat builders locally, who've also built aluminum boats for the Coast Guard. We're already working with these folks, would actually sit on 8 piles that fall down below the platform. So in essence, the structure of the framing of the sculpture of the rough indication of the ship disappear down beneath the platform, almost as if it's sinking, which I'll show you more in a moment. And also notice in the middle of the hatched area, there is a 3-foot circle, which would be put on the floor of we'll call the interior of this, but there really is no interior because it's really just a frame. That would be the 3-foot seal of the Jacob Jones, and that plays in a moment. And notice that in the previous presentations, we had talked about a mirror, and the reason for that, I'll talk about in a moment, was 4 feet wide. It is now 6 feet wide, but where the balcony, or I'm sorry, the platform ends is about 6 feet to the south of that, so that attendees and folks who are visiting can't reach out and actually touch that mirror. So as you arrive at that viewing platform, which is the 12 by 12 square in the lower part of this drawing, lower right, and turn left, you would see the image on the right. So the image on the right is an exact replica, in its dimensions at least, but it's been fragmented a bit, of the bow of the Jacob Jones. But it's now standing up vertical, and if you look at the drawing on the left, if you were looking at the elevation on the right from the left, it's canted at 15 degrees as if the frame of the ship is actually sinking. So the 6 little rectangles along the center line below the circle in the right-hand elevation are 6 panels in which all of the names of the crew of the Jacob Jones would be cutouts all the way through the aluminum deck, 1/4-inch sheet plate, so that at nighttime, with a very low level of illumination inside of this, the names of the deceased or the names of the crew would actually be shown in illumination. But the reason they're cutouts is because of how this works in section, which I'll show you in a moment. We may need to come back to this. As you arrive inside, however, what ends up happening is there is, on the right-hand side is if you were looking at this from the right, you would see that drawing on the right. Inside in section, what happens is, now what is finally revealed is the mystery of this entire journey with I'll call it a fragmented and disrupted set of a bunch of very odd angles, all of which are important for structure. and in fact, just a remnant of the cutout of the 130, which is what's shown in the elevation on the left. 130, of course, was the ship number that we saw on the photograph of the bow that I showed you earlier. And also entering and exiting this from each side, you can see that sort of rough cutout. We did some research on what a torpedo does to the hull of a ship, and this is very reminiscent of what the penetration through a ship's hull would look like if it was penetrated by a torpedo. And that's how you would enter and exit on each side, although on the front you would enter through the normal rectangular opening, which is 7 feet high by 6 feet wide. So the angles of the two pieces that are running from upper right to lower left are at a very precise angle, and that is 34 degrees, and the reason for that I'll come back to in a moment. So you can see that the wooden platform is at that benchmark elevation. You can see the little benchmark indication all the way to the left side of the drawing. So that's floating roughly 2 to 3 feet above the dunes, and the wooden platform will be supported by helical piles, whereby the metal form will be supported by concrete piles, as I said prior. So this is the more precise location of the site, and the reason why I want to walk through this is because there's a bunch of phenomenon that are occurring that are deeply embedded in the design of this whole memorial. So if we were to take, given that drawing on the upper left, and connect a direct line from this site to the sinking site, that ends up being 41.25 degrees east of solar south. So hold on to that for a minute. That is exactly the angle that you see back in, this is not going backwards, I don't know why. Paul, this is suddenly not working. Nope. Try this. Nope. There we go. Okay. So that's that 41.25 degree angle that runs through the center line of this monument. Oh, now I need to go forward, hit it forward, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next slide, please. Okay. So when the sun is moving across the sky dome on February 28th, it will align precisely with the line that connects the sinking site to our site at 9:48 a.m. Next slide, please. So go back one, Paul, please. Can you go back? Yeah, so what you're seeing here is a diagram of solar from NOAA's site tracking how the sun works. So what you're seeing there is a diagram of the solar dome on February 28th. Next slide, please. So at 9:48 a.m., when the sun is directly in alignment between the sinking site and our site, the sun, as it moves through the sky, starts very low on the horizon, and not only does it move east to west, it gets continuously higher until it gets to solar noon and then starts dropping again towards sunset. So at 9:48 a.m., when the sun is exactly in alignment with our site, you can see the elevation of the sun, according to the diagram in the little blue box, is 34 degrees. Next slide, please, Paul. So those cutouts of the names in the 6-foot by 20-foot high name cutouts, when the sun is exactly at 34 degrees in elevation and exactly in alignment with the sinking site on February 28th, the date of the sinking, all of those names will be perfectly centered in that 6-foot mirror that's on the wall canted on the left. And they will, in fact, very different from every other memorial ever created that I know of. Rather than being carved names or black letters, they will actually be the names of these sailors in light, so that they will be illuminated in a mirror. However, we have a problem here. And the problem is that, next slide, please. Thank you. That 3-foot oculus, that 3-foot circle that I showed you in the elevation, what you're seeing is how the sun, at the same time as it is illuminating the names, penetrates through that oculus, and the center line of it bounces off the mirror, and you can see hits the floor so that the 3-foot circle perfectly aligns with, at that point, the 3-foot circle of the plaque of the ship that's embedded in the floor. However, the problem is that since this is not an enclosed structure, given that 34-inch elevation angle of the sun, you can see that the illumination from the sun will also hit that 3-foot circle. So in order to distinguish and mark this particular phenomenon on that date at that time with the solar alignment, proposing that the mirror be a blue glass mirror, so the circle will be a 3-foot circle in blue that moves as the sun moves until it exactly focuses on the 3-foot circle in the floor. In addition to that, you as the observer standing at the observation deck will also see your own reflection in the mirror, so you will also be with the sailors kind of in the water, because you and the names, the illuminated names, will be in that blue. So that's what the seal on the floor will look like. This is a current iteration. We're still working on this. It will be developed further, and I think better, actually, by some graphic designers we have working on it. So that frame that I'm talking about, this is actually from the local shipbuilder, and actually we're working with a local metal fabricator. So instead of there being a skin on the ship, other than that, on the sculpture, which is really intended to be an artful sculpture, this is intended to just show you what those station points look like and what the framing would actually look like. And this is a very quick little sketch. It's an isometric sketch, so it's not in perspective. So it's a little bit, I would say, attenuated by virtue of it. So you can see that those station points create what would be on the right at that 15-degree keel, those cantilevered beams, which would create that would end up being the keel of the ship. So if we were to look at what this looks like on the site, this is a rough elevation. So you can see that that pole, so for those of you who are familiar with perspective, you can see where the vanishing point is by looking at the top of that railing. So that top of that railing would connect all the way to the horizon line. So if you connect where that line of the railing hits the horizon line, that would be the vanishing point. And if you were to draw a line from the 32-foot top of that pole all the way out, it would be such that it would be 6 feet higher than what this is. So the height of this thing is 26 feet, lower than a 2-story house, and it's not solid. It's just basically metal frame. And when you come down Beach Avenue and turn the corner and start heading north on Wilmington, this is roughly what it would look like. Falling down, you wouldn't really see much in terms of the platform because it would be behind vegetation, so it would be emerging out of the vegetation. So we also are thinking that we want to create a plaque, probably in the little piazza. I don't need to read this, but it would say this. So a couple things. In discussing this site at the 2 public fora we've had thus far, and furthermore, everybody here and all of the public is invited to another one, a Zoom session where this will be presented again and intended to engage in soliciting comments, feedback from the public. That's scheduled currently for July 30th at 6 o'clock. Paul can make sure, and it'll be posted, I think, on the city's website, what the Zoom link will be. So after we presented the Cove site and we had these discussions with public attendees, that's when, after the first of those where we said, nope, we're not considering the Cove site anymore, we really spoke with everybody as transparently as possible, soliciting their ideas of where they thought would be the best site for this. And as we started to gain some modest alignment around the site I just presented, 4 issues came up that folks thought might be perceived negatively. So I'd like to address all of them. The first is the height. So it's about the same height as a couple of the trees just to the north, and the height of it is really very open, as you could see. It's just a frame, and the maximum width at that height is about 5 feet, and it is 6 feet lower than the prior scheme, so it's been reduced by between 18 and 20% in its height, and it's 6 feet lower than the utility poles that march along Beach Avenue. Second issue was an issue potentially of parking, and the way we're thinking about this, and I've done a little bit of research on this several times this summer. I've driven down to the World War II tower, and no matter what time of day I go while it's open, I've never seen more than 4 cars parked along Sunset Boulevard in terms of those folks who were attending. However, that's not really our intention here. Our intention here is that this is less of a destination. It's much more of a kind of unexpected, enhanced experience for existing beachgoers who are off to Poverty Beach, or walkers or bikers, as a terminus to the promenade. So folks who are walking the entire distance of the promenade now have a destination at each end. A third issue was something that concerned folks about potential bird nesting. My response to that is, great, I would welcome it. In fact, this provides, in many ways, a tighter integration with that beautiful idea of humans and nature, and by providing habitat. Now, I would also like to note that folks said the same thing about the arches, that birds were going to nest on the arches. Well, they've been in, what, 3 years now? And have we seen a nest? No. All right. There was an issue also about storm surge, and this one, I think, is most easily refuted. A couple things. This will be designed to withstand hurricane winds, and it'll be built with the same technology as boats, who, of course, are always at least partially submerged in water. And it will also be an open frame, so there's very little wind resistance. But most importantly, the technology of the piles that will be used to support this thing will actually reinforce and fortify the protective dunes. And I just would like to read you, I did a bunch of research on this, and a most recent report states that piles can be combined with other dune stabilization techniques, such as vegetation planting and sand fencing, both of which will also be incorporated into this, because any vegetation that we remove will have to replace 2 to 1. They create a more comprehensive coastal protection strategy. Furthermore, this is on the backside of the dunes, and one example of this where it's been used quite effectively is the Rockaway Beach project in Queens, New York. And I'm done with my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to thank you all again. I want to make a couple of points. You hear me okay?
Yes, Miles.
Yes. First of all, we're not talking about asking the city for money. We're talking about private fundraising, a national campaign. And we're talking about a lot of money. The amount has not been figured out yet, but we're talking about a national campaign. We're not talking about the city budget. And I want to make that absolutely clear. The second point is that we realize that there are various environmental issues that need to be dealt with by regulatory authorities, and we're fully aware of that, or well aware of it at least, and we will take the appropriate actions to make sure that they're addressed well. The only other thing that I want to say is that it's something I'd like to reinforce, and that is if anybody has any questions after today's meeting, I would strongly encourage you to be in touch with the team directly, either by contacting me personally or John personally, or communicating with communicating via the link of our website. It's really important because rumors have already started, and I just want to be abundantly open about this. Rumors have already been started that are specious, that are groundless, and we want to make sure that misinformation does not get in the way of this wonderful project that is summarized nicely as a solemn obligation and a significant opportunity for America that we in Cape May can help capture. And I want to thank you again for allowing us to make this presentation today and for your support along the way and into the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you, John. Go ahead.
I just also want to, I don't know if you touched on it, we have posted on the city's website, not this full presentation obviously, but at least some of the site plan sketches that John has presented here. There's also a Zoom link. They are going to be holding another public outreach on the Wednesday,
July 30th at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. The Zoom link is on the city website. If you get on the site and just search for the Jacob Jones, it'll take you right to the page that we have set up for this, which posts a lot more information on the PDFs that has the different site locations and information like that. So I just wanted to let council know that and the public know that there is going to be another public information center that John and Miles will be hosting to discuss and get further public input on this project site.
Yes, and I'd like to state that as many people as possible who have a comment or a thought, we welcome it, because much of what you're seeing is the result of much of the input we've gotten on the prior 3 public fora that we conducted, as well as informal conversations with others in the community. So you're welcome to join us and give us your comments.
Great. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay, with that, we are moving to updates and old business. City manager? Any old business or updates?
Thank you. I just wanted to give a brief update on some of, I had got some beach tag numbers for council. Thank you. Hey, John. Through last week, we were up about $20,000 from 2024 to 25 to this year, and what we had from last year. To date, beach tag sales are just around $980,000 in revenue. That's 6,566 seasonal tags, 35,322 daily tags, 8,515 weeklies, and 7,606 three-day tags. So, we've had some good weather so far. So that's really what obviously drives the sales, especially over the 4th of July weekend. I think we saw record stuff. I got some of the summaries from, and I'll distribute a memo that I got from some of the departments. But all of our departments showed a lot of activity over the 4th of July weekend. Everybody was busy, whether it was Public Works, Fire and EMS, Police. Everybody was really busy over that 4th of July weekend. From code enforcement has been very active on mercantile licenses. The clerk's office has gone through its initial, everybody's mercantiles were due on May 1st. They did about a month of politely asking people to get their mercantiles down. Code enforcement has now joined in with the clerk's office. And I want to say when code enforcement started, just on the short-term rentals, there are about 212 properties that hadn't registered from last year. They've got that down to about 25. And so they're still working through those issues. And for those last 25, if they don't clear them up pretty soon, they're going to probably get violation notices. The clerk's office and myself had some, we talked about the Rentalscape is a computer modeling software that we're looking at. We're loading our mercantile licenses into that software program, which we will then now be able to reconcile the mercantiles with what people are advertising out on the internet for short-term rental properties, and we'll start reconciling those. And that has a look back in it. So just because, hey, I've booked for the season, I take it offline, this can look back not just this year. This actually has a history going back through almost 2018. So we'll be able to identify who's renting and who's not. So we'll be taking a look at that over the next month. From a quality of life issue, I just wanted to, we hit on some of the topics. Tree protection for around construction sites has been a focus from the Shade Tree Commission. We've been doing some better outreach through our zoning permitting process to make sure that the contractors know they need to do that. Police is continuing their roving speed enforcement, and you can see when you look at the ticket counts, DWIs and some other key metrics on their enforcements are really up and showing better enforcement that way. Recycling, I've had a lot of questions. I've been looking over the Public Works has been tracking both the frequency and the number. I'm happy to report that our residents and businesses have really they're coming into compliance. We've been, Public Works works on them, giving like 3 notices to try to get in compliance. And at this point, we have only about 2 or 3 properties that we're actively working on, but everybody else has come into compliance and are complying with our new recycling regulations. So that's an upstate little snapshot so far. Thank you.
Thank you, City Manager. City Solicitor, rather.
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
City Council, any updates or old business? No? Okay, on the ordinances for second reading. City Clerk?
Yes, we have 568-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 194 of the City Code regarding construction activities to require notification of work to adjoining owners sharing a party wall. And there is a public hearing tonight, Mayor.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on Ordinance 568? Ordinance 568? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second. Roll call? Or any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes, I'm sorry. We're out of, we have a different order tonight. Yes, thank you.
We have 569-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 417 of the City Code to clarify exemptions from site plan review, also with a public hearing.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on Ordinance 569? Site plan review? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
570-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 525 of the City Code to clarify design standards for exterior air conditioning units in the R4 zone with a public hearing.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on 570, air conditioning units in R4 zone? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
571-2025, an ordinance designating an unnamed public right-of-way as Dempsey Drive in honor of Emily Dempsey with a public hearing.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on Ordinance 571? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments?
Other than it's well-deserved, none.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
And 572-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Cape May City Code regarding metered parking and incorporating the Ocean View parking lot pursuant to the city use agreement with a public hearing.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on 572, parking at the Ocean View restaurant? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Thank you to Ocean View for opening up much-needed parking. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
And moving on to the public portion on resolutions only, Mayor.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on resolutions on the agenda this evening? Anyone here for resolutions this evening? Afternoon? I'm still used to evening, sorry. Seeing none, we can close public comment. Do I have a, do we have any
Do we
addition?
have anything to remove from the consent agenda? The one addition for the white collar will be voted upon separately. Okay.
Anything, council? Good. Roll call?
A motion?
Do I have a mo- yeah,
for
do I have a
the,
motion?
Consent agenda, Council.
On the consent agenda? Yes. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a question, Mayor, if I
Yes,
may.
sir, please.
I understand what the city manager was saying about the police report. The police did a lot of work this last month. I just have a question. The few shoplifting situations, arrests here, was that assisted with our new camera system? Do you know?
The cameras have been a excellent assistance to the police in identifying whether they can have better pictures to be able to put it on social media to help put that out there, or to, the technology if they have an internal camera in a store, they can download that photo and import it into our system so that we can help track and look around for that person to help identify them better, where they may not have a great picture of the person. Our camera may have had a better picture to help identify this person. So yes, the cameras have paid off in increasing the number of shoplifting tickets and closing cases.
I actually, if I can make a comment on that, I actually spoke to the chief about this, and he cleared it, so I wanted to make sure. Because I did get a couple questions about the amount of photos that were being put out and things like that, and they have been a tremendous asset to the police. no, we are not seeing an uptick in shoplifting. We're just getting better photos and seeing and frankly catching people.
Catching the
So,
people.
it's really been a tremendous asset. And no, it has not been an increase in shoplifting.
No.
But frankly, it's been a bit of a deterrent. So don't mess with Cape May. Yeah. Okay, sorry, where are we? We have a motion and a second?
We do, we do.
Was
Are there
that it,
any
Mr.
other
Meyer? That's
comments?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
And we have 240-07-2025, resolution approving a memorandum of agreement between the City of Cape May and the Communications Workers of America, Local 1036 White Collar.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes, and thank you all for your service to the city.
Okay. On to new business.
New business. City solicitor, any new business?
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
City manager?
No, but I just would like to report, I guess I could have reported this under old business. We had one of our last project meetings for the design of the police station building, and we're anticipating putting that out to bid next week. So, we've got all the plans and specifications finalized, and all looks, like that it'll probably go out to bid next week. So that'll put us on target for a fall groundbreaking.
Thank you for all your hard work on that, Paul, and to the task force members as well that did a lot of work, and we really
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
Mr. Dietrich, if I could just ask a question. Can you provide an update on signage for the nature trails?
Sure. So we currently have signage up regarding no dogs back on the trails. The other, I'll say, rules and regulations sign that was ordered that really parrots with the ordinance that we adopted earlier this year as far as the rules and regulations on the trail. It's been ordered, and we anticipate it being installed next week. They actually have part of the sign, but some of the post caps to kind of complete the actual sign install didn't come in. So, I talked to the contractor this morning, and he anticipates everything by next week.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, city clerk.
Yes, just a reminder that the next regular council meeting on August 5th is scheduled for 1 p.m. due to National Night Out at 5:30 that evening in front of Convention Hall at 714 Beach Avenue. And then additionally, Councilmember Baldwin and I were scheduled for a wellness walk and talk tomorrow at 11 a.m. on the beach mats, but given her being under the weather, she should neither be walking nor talking. So we are going to reschedule that for Thursday, July 31st at 10 a.m., same location. So we'll put that out on social media, and we hope to see everybody on the 31st.
Thank you very much. Councilman Bodnar?
I have a couple things. First, last Thursday was, I think, our first movie on the beach, A Complete Unknown, which, due to the circumstances with the weather, needed to be moved inside to Convention Hall. I want to give credit and thanks to all the staff who worked so hard to quickly transition that event from being an outdoor beach event to getting Convention Hall ready. I mean, I was there. There was a lot of people who attended it because it features Cape May, and it's a great movie. But the fact that they were able to get that prepared and move it inside so quickly. So thank you to everybody who participated in doing that. The other matter I just wanted to mention is about bicycles. We're in the heart of the season right now. There's a lot of people biking out and about in Cape May, which is great because it's an alternative way to move around town and probably faster than by driving. Just a reminder to folks to please follow the rules of the road and ride with traffic. As well as for those of us that are out and about driving, just beware because some people are just biking and not necessarily riding on the right side of the road. So again, for those of us driving, be alert for those folks, the folks that are out and about on their bikes. And if you have people visiting Cape May, look, it's it's a beautiful town. Everybody has their head on a swivel and is taken into in the beautiful the beaches and architecture, but just hopefully remind them to focus on just keeping their head down and being alert and following the rules of the road, and using the bike lanes and the sharrows. Thanks.
Councilman, if I could just follow up on that, this is real life, because there was an accident over the weekend on Broadway where a bicycle had an accident with a vehicle. So, Councilman Baldr's not just saying it just to remind everybody, this is real life. It happens all the time, and it did happen just over this past weekend. So we don't want to see anybody hurt, whether it's a resident, somebody here visiting us. We want everybody to come here, enjoy your time, and go home safely, and not have to experience your day visiting our fine fellows over at the EMS and have a ride up to the hospital. We want you to spend your time on the beach and enjoying it, not hurt.
Yep, thank you. Deputy Mayor McDade?
I just want to follow up on the comment that City Manager Dietrich made about the last meeting and the police station going out for bid. Chief Fashel mentioned how much he appreciated having the authority on board this project, indicated that they were instrumental when they were doing their review with the Department of Corrections. So I know that there were some questions about our taking that contract on and the value to it, but from his perspective, they've been invaluable so far. So it's, I think it's been an investment, money well spent, and he's looking forward to having them as part of this project, and I certainly know the city manager is also.
Yeah, I couldn't thank Council more in providing us that tool to make sure that we have a successful project, and it was valuable to bring them on early on in the project to make a successful project kick off. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Meyer?
I don't have anything for today.
Okay. I just want to echo actually what the Deputy Mayor just said in regards to the police station task force and everyone involved. Really, I think, are putting together a really solid product. The bidding might help show exactly how solid it is. We'll see what happens, but we hope it comes in within budget, and we'll see what happens. But I also just want to thank the police department for their patience, too. They were obviously professional and patient throughout the whole process, so we thank you very much, especially Chief Fashaw. Thank you. And I want to, again, thank all our firefighters, police officers. July 4th, you all know, was extremely busy. EMTs and the volunteer fire police. A lot of events going on in town, especially the fireworks, all went off without a hitch, and really very impressive. I want to thank Cape Resorts as well for their help in funding for the fireworks. So wonderful time, and to all of our city employees and workers, all those in the service industry. We know how difficult it can be when it's that busy, so we thank you very much. With that, we're going to open it up to public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on any and all topics, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for having the hearing and giving us this opportunity. I'm Alice Morris, and I own a home with my husband at 1621 Beach Ave.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Could you speak into the microphone a bit
Okay.
more? We can't quite hear you.
Alice
Thank you.
Morris, 1621 Beach Ave. I want to start by saying I am here to object to the suggested site for the USS Jacob Jones Memorial, but I make this statement with full respect for the intent to honor those sailors. And so we'll start with that. I think what I'm seeing and hearing in the presentation regarding the memorial, proposed memorial, is a disconnect between the intentions and the site. And I think that despite, an interesting discussion of why the end of Poverty Beach, or that spot on Poverty Beach, would be just the perfect location for this memorial, This is now the fourth site that has been sought. And I think when you start, seeing an objection at each step or possible location, what we're suggesting is that there's something that doesn't match between the intentions and what will be the received final product. I will speak just specifically about this site. Poverty Beach is one of the last more natural environments in Cape May along Beach Ave. The homeowners and the visitors who use that beach very actively have chosen that location because it is a more natural environment. You are asking, by suggesting this site, that those of us who value that location really deal with numerous disruptions to the natural environment. And I will remind everyone that we are, in the planning stages for the extension of the promenade and the seawall. Those two things will dramatically change our experience of the beach. I would really ask that we not add what seems to me a very, heartfelt but very unnatural construction of this memorial made out of metal and reflecting surfaces at what is to me an extreme height on that beach. I've lost my good sentencing here, but I think that is a lot of dramatic changes and impact on the environment that we have sought and others seek to experience at Poverty Beach. I won't go too far in my time. I know there are others who want to speak. I don't think reflecting hot metal surfaces, an extensive platform that, although it's being described as not really in the dunes, is in the dunes as we experience them, right where in many years we do not walk because of nesting plovers, and where there is other wildlife living now. I really respectfully request that the people who have such a heartfelt desire to memorialize the Jacob Jones, USS Jacob Jones, reconsider whether Cape May Beach locations are the appropriate site, or whether the nature of this construction as the memorial is appropriate to the beach setting. And thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lee Snyder. I have a place at 1 Wilmington Avenue. I'm an architectural engineer with a license in 5 states, including New Jersey. I just have a few concerns. First of all, some of the material that's proposed, I'm very concerned during high winds or hurricane forces, which we experienced during Sandy, that they'll become windborne projectiles, just the debris from the wood, the railings, even the aluminum, the 6-foot by 20-foot mirror. I mean, I'm just concerned looking at the proposed structure that it's just not adequate. The high reflection of the mirror, what's it going to do to the wildlife? I mean, the presentation was based on February 28th. What about June 20th? I mean, you can't even walk on the sidewalks. You can't even walk on the sand without sandals. So if this is going to shed light on the floor of this memorial, it's not well thought out, okay? The other thing is children are going to climb this. I mean, at 5 foot, the structure begins at 5 foot, and every 5 foot there's a purlin. Children are going to be tempted to climb this, and possible injury, and who knows what else can happen. The other thing is the ADA ramp is going to take up 4 or 5 spaces of parking, which is already critical. And the other thing is the design does not integrate with the local environment of the sand dunes and native vegetation. We've been struggling since 1994 to replenish the beach. And snow fence have been put up since then and probably added every 2 years just to get to sand dunes. Back in 1994, you could be at street level and you could see the ocean. Now, we have probably 15-foot high beaches or sand dunes with significant vegetation that can, absorb any waves coming off the ocean. Also, East Cape May from Pittsburgh Avenue to Poverty Beach is residential. Poverty Beach area is a peaceful retreat away from the crowds. One other thing about the sand dunes, just the act of putting in pilings and the construction and getting materials in there, the cranes, that entire area is going to be destroyed. I mean, I've been in construction for 54 years, and, it's going to be disaster. The other thing is Poverty Beach has been a designated migratory bird sanctuary for decades. In fact, sometimes during the year, they actually come in, the state comes in and ropes off areas for the migratory birds to mate and raise their young. It's listed under the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and also the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. May you consider the suggestion made at the public forum on May 29th, 2025, to locate the USS Jacob Jones Memorial Monument near the World War II tower, where there's sufficient parking and will not disturb a peaceful environment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Gary Snyder, 105 First Avenue, Cape May. I'm here to talk about the proposed pedestrian bicycle bridge at First Avenue. I spoke at the last meeting. This is an update, and I'd like to focus on bicycle safety issues. There's a graphic here in front of you, 2 pages. I'll be very quick. The bike travel options exist in that community right now, and you can see in the graphic, the lower graphic, a lot of green pathways, good, safe bike paths. Broadway has some challenges, as we know, but it's still passable and can be improved. When we looked at other options, we considered improvements to Broadway, and you can hear more about that from us a little bit later. What we did do was, in the absence of good data, at least being presented to us at this point, we collected our own data. And you'll see the second and third bullet on the left-hand side show some counts that were provided, bicycle, pedestrian, and traffic counts. On the 3rd of July from 9 to 2, 191 bicycles were counted. Half of those went such that they would turn from Broadway to Mount Vernon, so that half, 90 plus or minus, may be using a proposed pedestrian bridge across First Avenue. On 7/6, we did a count, same time, 9 to 241, 141 bikes, and of those 42% turned so that they might go down across the proposed pedestrian bridge. There are options here, and we think that improvements along Broadway can make a safe, low-cost, low-impact alternative to the proposed bridge. If you look on the right-hand side of the first page, it shows one problem area, and with this kind of a focused bicycle path where we are taking traffic off the street onto constricting it, if you will, onto a walkway and then onto a bridge, issues occur. And what the small turn patterns are showing are access from bikes, either inbound or outbound, that'll be forced to go across the cartway. Dangerous situation. This is overly complicated by the presence of trailers, surfboards, whatever else might be trailed behind these bicycles. Again, I think there's an option here that we encourage the city to look at and the committee to look at further, which would be improvements along Broadway. If you go to the second page briefly, and we'll shift gears from West Cape May on West Grant to talk about Cape May City more. Imagine you're at that red arrow and you're coming down the bridge and you're coming down the slope, which is a sidewalk, and you're traveling with a bike, with chairs, a trailer on the back, a surfboard, kids behind you, whatever the case may be, and you dump directly onto First Avenue in the city of Cape May. No bike path, okay? No place to go. There's not a real option for a sidewalk here. There's only sidewalk on one side of First Ave. It has, in that area of Cape May, we have 9 driveway entries. We have 26 parking spots and a 300-foot short block, all right? It's zoned for condominiums, so we have double the density that we do some other places. This is an accident waiting to happen, literally. In our traffic counts, we counted the number of cars that turned around on First Ave on those days. From 11:30 to 12:30 on July 6th, there were 51 cars that turned around on First Ave. Everyone's looking for a parking spot. 51. That's almost 1 car per minute. So you look at the peak day here, and you've got cars turning around, as shown in the inset photograph, 2 or 3 point turns, bicycles coming down, a downslope entering into the middle of the road, and this is a disaster waiting to happen. If you get by there safely, and that's a question, and you go down to Mount Vernon and First Ave, a problem intersection exists there today, at least with bike flow today coming off of Broadway onto Mount Vernon, it's flowing with the traffic. If we take some of that traffic and put it entering orthogonally at 90 degrees coming off of First onto Mount Vernon and First gets even more dangerous. So we don't think, I don't think, and there are many behind me that don't think, that the proposed West Cape May Bridge is a safe bicycle option. And we ask you, we implore you to consider and reconsider and look at the safety issue. I won't speak to anything else this week. You'll probably hear from me again. As you know, there are many other issues that we feel don't support this project, and we encourage you to continue to look at the safety of the residents and visitors of Cape May. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gott. I live at 201 West Grant in West Cape May. I am here to tag on to Gary Snyder's comments about the West Grant to First Avenue Bridge and my opposition to it, as well as a group of residents on both sides of the creek. In talking about it today, my wife and I have very good experience. We have lived on both sides. We're on West Grant now. We used to live at 113A in First Avenue. So we personally observed all those turnarounds for 5+ years, and it is a very dangerous situation there. Also, I want to mention that several of our neighbors in West Cape May have recently gone to the West Cape May Commissioner meetings and made a presentation on these safety numbers to them. We asked for their study as to their justification for improved safety. We haven't found any, and thus we had to do our own traffic account. Myself, along with others, counted the turnarounds. I sat on a beach chair for 3.5 hours, July 3rd, at the corner of West Grant and Broadway, and tracked where they went. So these are valid numbers, and it does justify our safety concerns. I just implore you to take a look at other alternatives. We offered one to the West Cape May commissioners. The residents at West Grant are very willing to get rid of their 3 spots that are on West Grant and make a dedicated bike lane. If you got rid of the 1 non-revenue spot and the 4-meter spots on the west side of Broadway, you could have an 8-foot dedicated bike lane. Bikes will go on that. You also have the sidewalk there, so you're separating your pedestrian from your bikes. The bridge concept it's basically 2-way traffic, and both pedestrians and bikes are going to be on that. I'm concerned that it's just going to be accidents in that situation, especially since the conceptual plan only has the bike path leading to the bridge at 6 feet wide. So hopefully, and also I do have some more of the traffic count data. If anyone's interested, I'd gladly share it with you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jeffrey Morris, also of 1621 Beach Avenue. I don't really want to go over some of the things that was stated about the monument being placed at Poverty Beach. But I would like to make, a few comments, because this is a great opportunity to talk to you, not the people who are, making the project, which, again, my father's a World War II veteran. He died last year at 98. I'm totally into it. I understand why you would want to memorialize this. This is not about that at all. And when I saw this was on the agenda, I also see that there's a lot of neighbors here from the neighborhood. Maybe you heard that by the applause of some of the people. So I don't know if you want to raise your hand and say who came, because this was, a meeting about this, to come to say that we think, again, it's an inappropriate place. The seawall, of course, is a must. The promenade extension, that's certainly, a worthy goal that the council has decided on. To add this as a third thing, I think is really asking a lot of the neighborhood. There are other places to consider. Harbor Cove Park, which is kind of between the Wawa and the Harbor Cove. I mean, practically nobody's there. It's a little circle. You'll be able to see the water. I mean, I think there are other things that's not going to disrupt the beach. People are coming to the beach. They're bringing their kids to the beach. I understand it could be a place of reflection and a very creative project, but I really, again, would want the council's support that, Poverty Beach, just like the Cove, just like in front of the Macumber Hotel, is just not going to work in our town. We'd love to honor it. I think we still have to work harder to find out how to honor it where it doesn't disrupt neighborhoods and people that are coming to the beach. That's where we're coming. That's why people come here. So I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hunter Cochran, 1613 Beach Avenue. I'm talking about the Jacob Jones Memorial, and I'd like to thank the organization for the effort they've put into creating such a thing. I think it's a wonderful thing. 2 things come to mind. Why wouldn't the Cape May Point State Park, where the lighthouse is and where the old World War II Battery 223 is located, why wouldn't that be a logical location to have a consistent place that has existing parking, would not be disruptive to anything or anyone? And then the other place, obviously, that was talked about briefly, was the World War II Lookout Tower. It seems like another perfect location that is absolutely consistent with the whole idea of it being sunk by a sub. Those towers were put up to locate U-boats. That was the purpose of them, and that's the only one that's still left on the east coast of Jersey that was used for that purpose. So it seems like it would be a perfect thing to be consistent, and again, would be a harmonious location and not disruptive to anyone. Those are my comments, and please consider them. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. To briefly introduce myself, my name is Peter Chicanius. I am an attorney at the law firm of Highland Levin Shapiro, located in Marlton, New Jersey. And I'm here on behalf of Elizabeth Truxas, who lives at 724 New York Avenue and is within sight of the proposed location for the Jacob Jones Memorial. I'll discuss that briefly. One thing that Ms. Truxas wanted me to be emphatic about was that we do not oppose in any fashion a memorial honoring the USS Jacob Jones or the 131 individuals who died that day. Quite the opposite, in fact. And to be quite honest with you, on a personal note, my father having served proudly in the Marine Corps, I wouldn't be here if the objection was to the installation of a monument, because I simply would not have supported that on either a personal or a professional note. The disagreement, which is one of the American freedoms that we fight for day in and day out, is with the location. And I think I don't need to rehash some of the comments that are made by some of the local residents. They know the area better than I do, so I'm certainly not going to weigh in on those things. They could speak to that much better than I could. The one thing that I think my client wanted to express is one of the stated goals of this, and I'm not going to read the whole project purpose, but I'm just going to highlight some specific language. To co-create and curate the monument, et cetera, in a way that moves all participants to deeply value with humility, gratitude, and reverence the loss of the particular lives that day. And then it continues so that engaging this memorial serves to help all of us reflect upon, appreciate, and be inspired by, et cetera, et cetera. One of the comments that was made here tonight by one of the presenters was that this was not intended to be in and of itself a destination. That's where I think my client disagrees with this proposal the most. If your goal is to inspire a sense of humility and gratitude and reverence, and to inspire the individuals who are going there to see this, that's precisely what is required. A site, something that they can visit independent of walking onto the beach, taking on the off-ramp, dragging their chairs and their kids, and I'm thinking of my daughter pulling her in her basket, going off of that ramp and just happening to notice a memorial that's designed according to the purpose statement to inspire something in those who are viewing it. And given that, we would echo many of the comments that were made in prior meetings and here tonight, that the logical places within Cape May that already kind of highlight and are designed to do that right now are the World War II Tower and some of the other locations that have been mentioned here tonight. So we would respectfully request that you reconsider the location of this monument, not its existence, but its location, because frankly, my client believes that Poverty Beach is simply not the place to put this. With that, I'll rest my comments, and I thank the council for its time.
Sorry, I'm not a good public speaker, so that's why I had some help. But I was moved by some of the other comments that my neighbors were bringing up. I have been a resident of Cape May since I was a baby.
Sorry, could you just
Elizabeth Truxas, 1724 New York Avenue. My grandmother had a house on Howard Street, 2 doors away from the Maycomber. I used to walk down, stub my toes on those very uneven slate sidewalks. There was the playhouse there. Just Cape May has been my home away from home for my entire life. Poverty Beach, my father, among a couple of other friends, bought the property when it was literally Poverty Beach, like all shells, no beach, and nobody would go there. It was horrible. I was embarrassed. I said, Dad, you can't build there. I just can't do that. We were on the harbor at the time. Sorry if that sounds, but it has been, as they said, a place of wildness, of apart, right, where people come. And the one thing that I have seen grow, and I've been very proud of, that it is this wild place, and we don't have parking meters yet. I don't know what your plans are with that. But low-income families can come here and can spend the day in this beautiful place that we cherish and be able to take home a little bit of that wildness, of that freedom, of that space. And I totally agree that it is a great cause. And, you know, I used to be taken down to the cement ship. I know that that's West Cape May, not Cape May. So if it has to be in Cape May, maybe that's not the location. But I'd like to be able to have a destination where I take my children so that they are there and enjoy it and revere it and spend time thinking about the history and thinking about what place Cape May had. I mean, I used to go to Lily Lake, and I was just amazed that it was a freshwater pond. And then, you know, because they didn't want the enemy, what? The British. They didn't want the British to drink the water. The townspeople, right, built a canal to change the water so that now they don't have water, but at least the enemy didn't have water. So, yes, we have a very strong history, but, you know, again, it is a chaotic place. There are tons of people coming by. They aren't reverent. They aren't, you know, they're on vacation. They're coming there just to have fun and, you know, put up their canopies and throw footballs and, you know, they want to relax. They don't want to be reminded of, like, the news and the hard things that are happening in their lives, right? They want a bit of peace. So, as another neighbor said, I just don't think that it marries the intention with the location, regardless of what its impact on me personally is. I just think in the whole entire feeling of Cape May and what I see Cape May being an elegant, sophisticated, we care about our Victorian, like we were the first ones, right, to become National Historic Landmark. I was like so amazed when I was a kid that that's where I, you know, grew up and spent my summers. And I live in California now, and I still come back here for the summers, and I bring my children from California so they can experience what Cape May and New Jersey is. And, you know, my son goes out in the backyard, and he takes photographs of the sunset and goes out on the beach, and it's big and wide, and it's already starting to be congested. And if we put in a whole big, it's like a billboard, you know, now it's not what we think that it is the most supportive of that environment would be. But I would love to see it some other place. Sorry it took so long. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm here for some very little small thing that I want to ask you about. About a month and a half ago, I put in an application to put in a...
Ma'am.
I'm sorry. Can you just name and address?
Oh, and I'm short, so it works for me. Holly Brown, 1302 Massachusetts Avenue. So I put an addition on my house about 8 years ago. I did require a zoning ordinance to put an addition, because I'm in one of those spots that's 3 front yards. So I have setbacks that are very difficult. So I put an application to put an addition on the other side of the house. And you have an ordinance that I understand has been on the books for a pretty long time that says, essentially, requires that any further expansion of the structure, whether or not expanding the non-conforming portion, shall not be permitted without approvals from either the planning board or zoning board. I brought my letter with you because I actually was on borough council for 8 years in Westchester and are familiar with zoning codes and helped to write a lot of them. And I listened to what you're doing tonight, flashbacks. I'm glad I'm not you right now. But so I've been through all of that. But I just want some direction as to how to proceed with this, because I don't want to wait, not to sound macabre, but I'm getting kind of old. And if I have to wait a couple of years to get this zoning change, I don't want to wait that long. So I had spoken to my neighbor, Bill Bezaire, who's a realtor, and he had said, oh, yes, that's been on the books for years, and I don't really understand the need for it either. And then he spoke to someone on the planning commission, whose name I do not know, I'm sorry. But he also said that we should probably bring that up to review it, because it doesn't necessarily make any sense that if you don't need a variance, which you can tell by looking at the survey that you submit, why should you go through the process of going through the zoning hearing board, which takes months. So I'm just coming for you from directions. I'd like to see if I could get onto the agenda of either the planning commission or the zoning hearing board to discuss this ordinance.
So I don't think anyone up here is going to comment because we just don't know the situation, but maybe the solicitor does, and I think, frankly, we'd be better offline speaking with you directly, but
I'd
certainly...
be happy to,
go ahead.
the city manager and I would probably be happy to speak with you after the meeting just to talk about specifically what you're looking at.
Yeah.
Probably not something that we could
Yeah,
workshop.
well, I didn't know what to do, and I was suggested that I come talk to Borough Council, and then I
Sure.
would get moved on from there.
Let's talk after the meeting, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else this afternoon?
Hi, my name is Beth Jeffrey, and I live at 1621 Beach Ave. I actually live in the unit that faces the dunes, so I would be looking directly at the memorial, which is totally fine. Like everyone said, it's absolutely, very honorable to remember this sunken ship, and it's not a case of should we, it's just where should it be. I don't have any notes. I'm just sort of talking from the heart. I think that there's so much going on down in our section of town over the next, year or two, with the building of the seawall and the promenade that's going to be extended all the way down, that we don't know what the impact just of that is going to be on the neighborhood and on the beach itself. And then to add such a grand memorial, it's just really asking a lot of that small area, in a very short period of time. I mean, maybe if it was years after we've had the promenade and the seawall put up to see, kind of what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen to the wildlife. I watch the foxes that run through those, the dunes or whatever's left of it now, and they live over in that section where you enter on Wilmington, and the kids love to go on the boardwalk there and just kind of like look for foxes and wildlife that are there. And I know that they said there'd be an environmental study, but it just seems like there's very little beautiful natural environments left in the world, and to take such a pristine location and to add more outside elements like metal and mirrors, it just seems unnecessary when there's so many other locations that this could possibly live. That's all.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much. Thank you. Anyone else? Miles? Okay. Sir, if you're ready, come on up. Go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. Ted Mlinarski, 109 West Grant Street in West Cape May, and I'll spell it for you.
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Okay,
You can pick that
sorry.
up if you're
All right.
taller than some of the other ones.
Ted Mlinarski, Mlynarski, 109 West Grant Street in West Cape May. I'm here to just make a comment or two about the pedestrian bridge that's being proposed. Obviously, the safety concern, very big safety concern, and my concern is that we're taking a situation from First Avenue in West Cape May and simply moving it over to Cape May, and actually exacerbating that situation a little bit. Secondly, from an environmental standpoint, it's often overlooked, but the Cape May side are EPA priority wetlands. It's a different designation, and it's a different designation for a few reasons. The environment, the plants, the wildlife, but also flood control. Last week, we had some very nice downpours, and the sluice gates over by Swains work very, very well. My house is right on the creek, and that creek flows back and forth, back and forth. And as we got those downpours last week, that creek did its job. The water came from Cape May right out to South Meadows, as it should. I have a big concern about a bridge being put in there with berms impacting that and causing some flooding situations. What I'd like to do, Mr. Mayor, is actually invite you to come to my house. It's got a vantage point of this project site that nobody else really sees. You're not standing at the edge of First Avenue, you're not standing on West Grand Street looking at overgrown municipal lot. If Mr. Mayor, any member of the council, at any time individually, I'll email you with my contact information. You'll be surprised at what you see from my back deck. It's a clear view of First Avenue in Cape May, Cape Island Creek, and obviously the Cape May side of the municipal lot that they want to build this. Just to give you a better look, a better idea about what we're seeing. And ideal times to come are on beautiful beach days or weekends between 10 and 12, where you can really see the amount of traffic, the U-turns that happen there. I was part of the count team with my neighbors as well. But thank you for the opportunity. I will send you an email, sir. And
Sure.
I really
Be happy to
appreciate
be
if you come over and just take a look and we chat about it.
Be happy to be there.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Miles Martell, and I'm the founder and chair of the Jacob Jones Memorial Monument Project. First of all, I want to thank all of you who expressed concerns with respect to the site. They are valued. They will be considered very seriously, as has been the case with all feedback received up to this point, and all feedback that we expect to receive in the future. You've already heard me make 2 appeals, now there's a third, that if you have additional input, we not only welcome it, we invite it. So please, this is what I want to address. I will not address tonight or this afternoon the merits of the various points that were put forward by those of you who are not pleased with the site that's being proposed. I will not do that. I want to instead talk about the core location, the main location of the site. I was the one who started this entire project. I think you probably know by now that this is a work of passion. This is a work of careful research, extremely careful research, that we didn't have time to really get into to the extent to which we would have liked today, for understandable reasons, and a tremendous amount of heart by myself, by my colleague John, by my colleague George, and other colleagues who are not able to join us today. A tremendous amount of effort, talent, and heart. And why are we doing this above and beyond honoring the 131 who fell, whose remains are still, at least symbolically, out there? Why are we doing this? We are doing this because we love Cape May, because our hearts are here in Cape May. They're not with another municipality. They are not with another jurisdiction. They are not with another entity. They're here in Cape May. So, as I said, I'm not addressing the site, but this effort will be focused in Cape May, and as long as we're involved, this effort will not leave Cape May, irrespective of the site that is eventually selected. I want that to be clear to everybody here, with my gratitude for your input and for my gratitude for any support that you're willing to give us as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Miles. Please come to the microphone, Steve.
I'm sorry, I just was wondering if I could have a little clarification on something. I heard mentioned, oh, I'm sorry, Beth Jeffrey from 1621 Beach. I heard mentioned a few times in the presentation that was very comprehensive, and I'm only learning about this for the first time, so it was somewhat overwhelming, all the details. But I heard mentioned over and over that it's a private foundation that's paying for this, and it's your passion project, and that's wonderful. And is that the case moving forward? Is this going to be owned by and managed by and maintained by this organization? Or is it going to be handed off to the city to manage? I'm just curious because I wasn't clear about that.
We haven't voted on that yet.
Okay.
That detail hasn't been been discussed.
Right, because that could be a substantial cost that's added.
Absolutely, yeah.
In the design form as it is to the city. Once you get the promenade going all the way down, and if you're, I mean, I read a quote from you, because I was trying to brush up on this, I read a quote from you this afternoon that said, you know, we're expecting this to be a destination for visitors to come and see. So, a national destination.
A quote from who?
I don't know, I was reading through things online about this, but that's okay, I don't mean to detract by. It's irrelevant, but if it is going to bring people, even just from one side of town to the other, there's going to be garbage, there's going to be a lot of stuff, and I'm just curious, you know, because it has been mentioned over and over that they're funding this, but how that moves into the future, because it could be very substantial.
Just understand that the first step and first priority from the city's perspective is public buy-in. That's why we're at this point. We have not gotten into maintenance and moving forward, property, that kind of stuff. I mean, just to be clear, we've gotten, I think our portion of the meeting was about 15 minutes. The rest of the public comment has been on 2 projects that are being presented to us. One from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee and one from this committee.
Yeah.
So we get presented these ideas, and this is the discussion that ensues. So I just want to be really clear, those are all questions that we share. I guarantee you, we're not making a lot of comments tonight because we're listening to you, we're listening to them, and we want to see how this goes. What is most important to this council is that it's presented in public, which they've done, I have to say, very, very well. They've done now 3 presentations on live stream at public council meetings. A lot of times when you're seeing it, it's the first time these city council members are seeing it. And I have also done 3, private but public meetings that invites the whole community, anyone with concerns to come see, one on live stream. And again, they're doing another one July 30th. It sounds like some of you wrote that date down. Look, I commend them on everything that they've done up until this point, but please, there's no fait accompli here. We're hearing this at the same time as you.
Okay.
So,
I just wasn't sure if it was like a done deal and we're just looking
no,
for a location.
and let me say this
or-
on both of those projects, because this is important. The bridge has to be approved by the DEP. This would have to be approved by the DEP. That is a full, close to a year-long process. So both of these are very far from a done deal. I just want everyone to be very clear with that. Everyone on council understands that, so.
Okay, you just had a lot of confidence in your presentation, so I wasn't sure if it was just some semantics that we're wrapping up at the end,
Sure.
so. Okay, thank
Thank you.
Hunter Cochran, 1613 Beach Avenue. Mr. Martell, we can appreciate that you are married to Cape May as being the site for it. However, most of us here in Cape May consider Cape May Point to be Cape May. We do not consider that somewhere else, and we would find that a very acceptable location and part of what we consider to be our community. So I'm not clear why you're drawing a line in the sand about it would have to be in Cape May. Frankly, if that were the case, I, for one, would be willing to step up and try to go raise money to put it in a different location if you would be opposed to helping fund it outside of Cape May City. So I and others I know would happily step up and be more than happy to try to fund this elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who has not spoken this evening, afternoon? Anyone else on any topic? Okay. I'm going to say just one thing, and it's not to anyone individually, but I just want to make this as a comment as a fellow citizen of the community all of us love. We had public comments when we had the idea for the nature trails. Some people were very upset that how dare you go into the marshland. This is beautiful environment, and it's pristine, and it shouldn't be touched. I get comments almost on a daily basis right now, because it's new, of how beautiful those nature trails are and what an asset it is to the community for our school children to be able to use that space and learn about this natural environment that exists right behind where they go every day during school and really didn't even know existed behind them, okay? This is not a comment on the location, okay? I'm just making a little observation as a fellow citizen. Kiwanis Club Park, we redid the park, and you go there right now, you'll hear the voices of a lot of little children. We had a few neighbors that didn't exactly love the idea of the sound of some kids in their backyard, and we had to have that discussion. But I think if you go there, especially if you have any grandchildren or children, it's an absolutely beautiful little place to remember what it's like to be a kid. The library, we had folks come out and say, how dare you put HVAC on the roof? How dare you add an addition? This is just an old building that's ready to fall apart. Since then, we've gotten multiple awards. I hope you have experienced the library. It's an absolutely beautiful building, and we saved this historic property. You can tell I have a little bit of a list, but the AME Church, people said that is a crummy old burned out church. Let that thing fall to the ground and build us a parking lot. Okay, thank God we didn't do that. The firehouse, obviously everybody remembers we had a public referendum and we had a big discussion about public safety building, but firehouse, police station, and went through a lot of public comment and discussion. And I really think if you look at that firehouse, go outside and recognize that it was done on time and on budget. You have a wonderful building that helps protect us. I hope you see the value in that. The museum, we could go on and on and on. And it's a general comment to everybody, but in every one of those situations, there was a neighbor or someone around there that was not very supportive of the project. But the ultimate product took into consideration every neighbor. We did every possible thing we could to make sure we helped the people closest affected by it and that it had a positive impact on the community. So all I'm asking from the public is that I hope you have a little bit of faith in the City Council, that we represent all of you, and we are not trying to sneak something in. We want to do something that benefits the entire community. And yes, there probably will be a couple neighbors that get upset, but I have to tell you, and I'm going to talk about the bridge for a second. We literally had a 16-year-old kid get hit by a car this weekend on Broadway. And that brings tears to my eyes. So we have to do better. Thank you.
Can I say one more comment?
Yes.
Lee Snyder, 1 Wilmington Avenue. Back in the early 90s, Morey Brothers, Morey Piers, owned the land by Poverty Beach. And to be able to, my understanding, to be able to replenish the beach, they gave that land to the city. How will that affect every 3 years, the beach being replenished if we don't, if the city no longer owns a portion of that land?
Where that's located would have no impact on future beach fills. It's outside of the beach fill template location, so it wouldn't impact future beach fills.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Afternoon? It's 5 minutes past. We're in the evening now. Go ahead. Go ahead. Take your time.
Name and address again.
Oh, Elizabeth Truxas, 1724 New York Avenue. This just had to do with bikes in general, and I was curious because the last weekend, I've noticed there are so many people that are on bikes that are just going right through red lights.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to make sure, it is a rule they're supposed to stop.
Yes.
Because I'm horrified that somehow I'm going to hit one of them because they're not even, like 5, 6 girls just not even looking. They just go straight through. I mean, it's constant. I was kind of shocked, and I wondered what we could do to put signs up like bikes have to stop because they really don't think they have to. And I just
Bikes have to follow all the same motor vehicle rules that you do. They have to follow the speed limits, the rules of the road, and all the other traffic regulations that you as a motor vehicle operator in a car have to follow, a bicycle has to follow.
That's what I thought, and I wanted to
Yes.
say, like, hey, you guys should stop, but like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to upset anybody, but, because I wasn't sure if maybe we had changed the rules, but
No.
it would be nice somehow to figure out how to put that message out there in the public to make sure people know they have to stop.
The Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee group is a wonderful group that people should go to those meetings. Look, it's what you're asking for is hard.
I
mean,
know.
it comes down to enforcement to some
Right,
degree as well. But I will tell you, they've done a lot of work on it, and right now, we're looking at putting a sticker on all the rental bikes, just a code.
Good.
But
good,
that code
yeah,
will take you to
exactly.
an
That's what I'm
already
saying.
existing website,
Exactly.
Cape May Bike Safety.
Yeah.
And has a lot of really good work.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think's happening.
Yeah.
They're just not getting the information. When you said that someone got hurt,
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I mostly have
Councilman
a
Bob
golf cart, so hopefully
Hartman.
I wouldn't do too much damage, but,
Right.
they're not looking, they're not stopping.
We continually try to educate people, but the city it turns over every week as well. So that message, we repeat it, and there's a reason for it. You may hear it time and time again because you're here.
Yeah.
Other people are here for a day, 2 days.
Exactly.
Look, as I said, sometimes people, they're taking in their surroundings and not necessarily focusing on bike safety
I heard you say
in
that,
strange
yeah.
surroundings for them as well. So, yeah, that's why we need to be vigilant as well. We do our best to try to educate people, and it's an ongoing
I
process.
wonder too, because of Cape Resorts, and you mentioned them and being, such a good partner in the community, and I'm an investor in their, business, and I'm sure that they have so many people. If there's something you could coordinate with them to have a flyer that you hand out when you check in, like, hey, by the way, please stop for red lights, because,
we
not
have done
everybody's
that.
paying. You've done that.
We have done
I
that.
figured you've done
and-
that.
So there are conversations with our bike rental companies in town. Obviously, they want nothing more than the people who are renting the bikes to be operating the bikes safely and and our local police department as well. They hand out positive tickets to children for observing the rules
Oh,
of the
that's
road,
neat. Wow.
wearing helmets.
Yeah.
That's like ice creams from our local.
Perfect.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you can get, it's really, there's something to it. So it's part of what the community does do to reinforce bike safety. So we do our best to try to get the message out. We know we can always do better. We can always try to reach out to more people, and we're trying to do that.
Thank you very much. After this, we can't go back to anyone else who has spoken. I apologize.
Okay, once again, Alice
Thank you.
Morris,
Thank you.
1621 Beach Ave. Mr. Mullock, I'd like to just comment on what I hear as an effort to, reassure the community members who are here, clearly speaking in objection to the siting of the memorial on the beach, and in this case, at Cape May Poverty Beach. You cited a number of situations where there were people who were not happy with plans, and you feel that the city successfully, executed so that people didn't come up to you afterwards to tell you how unhappy they are. I think what really needs to be heard here is that this memorial, the particular design of this memorial being sited on the beach itself in Cape May has been objected to from every location along the beach that it has been proposed. I hear that our comments are important to you. I think you need to hear that there is some discrepancy between what the concept may be and how the people who will be most immediately impacted by it perceive it. Once it's done, nobody feels there's much point in coming up and saying, I'm so unhappy you did this. What we try and do is say, please think about this before you allow an impact on the beach, which is the primary destination of the people who come to Cape May. And I'm just going to repeat, Poverty Beach is the most natural last location upon Beach Ave, and I really hope that it is not destroyed. We're going to be encountering the impact of the promenade and of the seawall. I very much agree that we have no idea what the long-term impact of that will be, no matter what studies are done. And to propose adding a significant structure to what will be a very changed environment, I think is really lacking, appropriate thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
The time is 5:12. Please and have a wonderful evening, everyone. Thank you.